What would you do if your own father tried to give away your home in front of 200 people and acted like you should smile through it? That's what happened to me, Maya, the night my father, Charles, stood in the middle of my penthouse, raised a crystal glass, and announced to a crowd that he was handing my place over to my younger sister, Eva. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. No warning. No conversation. Just a public ambush wrapped in fake celebration. It was supposed to be his birthday party. But somewhere between the champagne and the string quartet, it turned into a hostile takeover. And the worst part? He used my success as a stage for it. Now imagine this. You've spent 10 years building a real estate portfolio. Blood, sweat, every late-night negotiation. This penthouse? I bought it in cash. Paid every cent myself. No help. No cosign. Nothing. And suddenly, your own family decides it's better off in someone else's hands. Why? Because Eva's had a hard year. Because she needs a fresh start. Because being the golden child apparently comes with unlimited real estate bonuses. I didn't even get to speak before the room erupted in applause. But then, someone else spoke up. Someone I didn't even know. And what he said stopped everything cold. Why would a complete stranger defend me in front of my own family? That was the question echoing in my head as I turned, heart pounding, to face the man whose voice had cut through the room like a blade. Don't touch her property again. Everyone froze. Even Eva stopped mid-smirk. You could hear the wind from the ceiling fan above before anyone dared breathe. This guy wasn't on the guest list. He didn't have a champagne flute in hand. No one recognized him. Yet he stepped forward, cool as ice, in a black suit that looked like it cost more than Eva's outfit. And trust me, Eva doesn't do cheap. Excuse me, my father snapped, his voice rising over the music. Who are you? That's when the man calmly pulled a folder from his coat and said, I'm Liam. Maya's legal counsel. My what? I'd never seen him before in my life. But he wasn't looking at me. His eyes were locked on Charles, steady, like a man who'd waited exactly for this moment. Now everyone was staring. My father was silent. Eva blinked fast, trying to calculate. And me? I stood there trying to figure out if this was real, or some kind of setup. But then Liam opened the folder. And the first page? It had my name at the top and a clause my father clearly didn't want read out loud. Clause 3B, Liam read aloud, his voice smooth, deliberate, and impossible to talk over. Any attempt to reassign ownership of this property without Maya Caldwell's written, notarized, and voluntary consent shall be deemed invalid and subject to legal action, including but not limited to civil litigation and asset freeze. That's when it hit me. This wasn't random. This wasn't just some lawyer. This was planned. I glanced around the room. People whispered behind wine glasses, shifting uncomfortably in their heels and suits. Some of them were investors. Clients. People I'd spent years trying to earn the respect of. And now they were watching my family drama unfold like it was premium cable. Charles stepped forward, face flushed. We don't need to involve lawyers in a family matter. But Liam didn't even flinch. You involved 200 guests and a microphone. I'm just here to make sure Maya's rights are protected, publicly. Eva scoffed. This is ridiculous. It's just a place. Just a place? The walls around us were mine. The floors. The ceiling. The custom light fixtures I spent 6 months choosing. And this woman, this sister who once pawned our mother's necklace for concert tickets, was calling it just a place? Liam raised a brow. Would you like me to explain how this place is also part of a holding company your name isn't attached to? Eva's face went pale. But Liam wasn't done. He flipped to the next page and said, now let's talk about the will. The word will hit the room like a dropped piano. Even the string quartet stopped playing. I turned to Liam confused. What will? I'd never seen any paperwork like that. Our mother had passed away years ago, a quiet, tragic loss that Charles insisted we move on from quickly. No reading of a will. No family sit-down. Just ashes, condolences, and silence. Liam tapped the page. This is a sealed amendment. Your mother signed it 8 weeks before she passed. My throat tightened. Where did you even get that? Charles barked, his voice cracking. Liam didn't look up. She filed it through a private trust and requested it only be revealed if her estate was challenged. And here we are. He turned the document around for everyone to see, and suddenly, it wasn't just my property on the line. It was all of it. The summer estate. The vineyard. Even the art collection. And every single asset? Left to me. Not shared. Not divided. Sole heir, Maya Caldwell. The reasoning? Eva's demonstrated financial recklessness and disregard for family legacy. Eva's mouth fell open. She hated me, she spat, voice trembling. She was sick. That's not fair. Liam calmly reached into his bag. Would you like to hear her say it? He held up a USB drive. Video recorded. Signed. Witnessed. Charles didn't move. Eva looked like she'd been hit by a truck. And me? I still couldn't breathe. But what Liam said next wasn't for Eva or my father. It was for me. And it broke something I didn't know I'd been holding on to. Liam looked straight at me, not with pity, not with triumph, but with something heavier. Like he'd carried a secret for years and was finally allowed to drop it. She didn't trust them, he said quietly. But she trusted you. He handed me a final envelope. Smaller. Thicker. My fingers shook as I opened it, the rustle of paper suddenly the only sound in the penthouse that used to be mine, and now I knew, always had been. Inside was a handwritten letter. Dated, signed. Her handwriting. My mother's. Maya, if you're reading this, it means your father tried to take what's yours. He never believed in you the way I did, but I knew. You would be the one to protect what I built, not sell it off to keep Eva out of another scandal. You always stood alone. I'm sorry I left you to keep doing that. But you're not alone anymore. Love. Mom. I don't remember when the tears started. Or when I sat down. But I remember looking up at my father and seeing something I'd never seen before. Not authority. Not power. Fear. He took a step toward me, like he might try to explain. But I stood up. You've changed, he whispered, his voice barely audible. I shook my head. No. You just finally saw what I always was. And then I turned around and saw the guests still watching, still waiting. For what? For me to collapse? To forgive? But what I said next, no one expected. I walked back to the center of the room, letters still in hand, and looked out at the sea of faces, some uncomfortable, some stunned, a few actually smiling. Maybe they thought this was just family drama gone viral. But this wasn't gossip. This was war that had been brewing for years, quiet, polite, and sugar-coated in birthday cake. I tapped my glass. Not out of celebration, but to reclaim my damn voice. I appreciate you all coming tonight, I said, steady and clear. But there's been a miscommunication. I held up the envelope. My mother made it very clear. This penthouse and everything she left behind was never up for debate. Eva scoffed again, but this time, no one backed her up. Not a single nod of support. She was alone in a crowd that used to adore her. And while some of you came here expecting champagne and small talk, I continued, what you've witnessed is the exact moment a woman stopped being treated like a placeholder in her own story. I walked over to Liam. Thank you, I said, voice low. He handed me one last thing, a small black keycard. The security has been updated, he whispered. They can't come back without your permission. Charles didn't even try to argue. He just stood there, hollow and silent. And Eva? She muttered something about a cab and stormed out barefoot. But the moment that really stuck with me was after the last guest left. When Liam turned to me and said, she planned for this. Your mother. She knew they'd try to erase you. I looked around the empty penthouse. But now it felt full. That night, I didn't sleep. I didn't cry either. I just stood by the window, barefoot on the marble floor, staring out at the skyline I'd fought so hard to rise above. The same skyline my father once told me I'd never own. It's a man's game, he said. You'll burn out before you make it to the top. And yet here I was. Alone, but not defeated. I replayed every word of my mother's letter in my head, over and over. The way she'd said, you always stood alone. She knew. All those years of being treated like the backup plan, she knew. And she left me something far more valuable than real estate. She left me proof. Proof that I wasn't crazy. That the gaslighting, the erasure, the subtle sabotage, it wasn't just in my head. It was real. And now it was over. Or at least no longer silent. So let me ask you something. What would you do if the people who were supposed to protect you tried to replace you? Would you fight quietly? Or would you turn around and reclaim your name in front of everyone who tried to write you out? Because that's what I did. And now, the penthouse is mine. The estate is mine. The truth is mine. But most importantly, my voice is mine. And I'm never giving it back. If this story hit you hard, hit that subscribe button. Because next week's story? Someone's husband forged a signature that cost her 6 figures. And what she did when she found out might be illegal in 3 states.